Okay, so hi, I'm Terry Aske. I'm a quilter, an art quilter. I live in New Westminster, BC, Canada. Um, and I've been quilting for since 1998, so for quite a few years. I started with no quilting background at all, although I was a sewer. And I love the art quilting as a media. I've won some awards, and I'm thrilled to be in the Crossroads exhibition. So I was actually lucky enough to have three. I entered three pieces, and I had three pieces accepted. And I've done a little PowerPoint presentation to tell you a bit about them and how I made what inspired me and how I made them. So these are my three quilts that were accepted into Crossroads for the Grand National Exhibition. There are three very different art quilts, very different styles. So I'm going to talk about what inspired me for each one and a little bit about how I constructed them and the techniques that I used. So the first one is intersections. It's 25 by 29 inches. It's quite modern and abstract. And I started this one with a very vague concept. I started it in May of 2020. Wasn't really sure what the end result was going to look like. So I picked some of my favorite colors, which are brights with black and white, and just started creating some quilt blocks, put them on my design wall. And eventually, in June, I had these blocks sewn together. But I decided I didn't like them. It looked too precise. It wasn't really what I was intending. So, and I said from the beginning that if I didn't like it, I would cut it up. So I did. I cut my completed quilt top into 6-inch squares and put them back up on my design wall, and eventually edited it down to these few that you can see on the right. Then I added some plain gray fabrics in the background and a little bit of striped fabrics, and I felt like I then had what I had wanted in the beginning. And I quilted it with straight line quilting. I do all my quilting by machine, all my piecing by machine. I did a narrow zigzag around the center portion to outline it. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think of it as the intersection of my original vague concept, my improv process, and the colors that I love. It wasn't really intended for the Crossroads exhibit, but I thought it fit the theme very well, and I was thrilled that it was accepted. This is my second entry. It's called Night Driving. So what happened was, as I often do, I do Google searches for the theme. So the theme was Crossroads, and I started doing Google searches, and I discovered all of these time-lapse photos of highways at night. And I just thought they were beautiful. I wasn't sure if I could replicate the streams of light from the headlights and the taillights in fabric, but I thought I'd try. So what I did was I did a sketch with full size, and I cut the highways out of freezer paper so that I had the shapes. This is on my design wall. And then I thought, how am I going to do these lights? It needs to be bright because it's a dark background because it's night. So I came up with the idea of using embroidery thread and couching that by zigzagging over it with shiny threads. And that seemed to work fairly well. These are a couple of samples I did. And what I did with the highways was they're actually separate from the background. They're quilted separately. They're black fabric on black felt. And I did all of my my couching on them separate from the background. So here it is on my design wall. I started by doing 7, I think. I just stitched them first, and then I added my embroidery thread. And then, as you can see, I added a lot more later and got a little more creative with the direction of the lights, and adding some interesting colors. And then I really like this idea I had, and I'm not quite sure how I came up with it, but of having the highways extend off the edge of the background. And I did all the quilting. This is the back. I did all the quilting on the background before I added my highways, and extended them out and did a little bit of facing around the bottom there. And this is my third piece. So this is my artist statement: rusty railway tracks, rail tops polished to a shine by frequent freight trains, thickly painted symbols, warn pedestrians and cyclists to be aware and alert. I often walk across this crossing, and I always pause to admire the striking graphic patterns. So I had taken this photo quite a few years ago and been waiting for a reason to use it to create an art quilt. So it immediately came to mind when I saw the Crossroads theme. And what I did for this one was I changed my photo to a pencil sketch version with my computer. And then I realized that the railroad, the actual tracks, were running all the way across the picture. So I cut my my full-size pattern into the separate pieces, right where the railroad tracks went across. I traced each section onto interfacing and fused the fabrics in place. And once I had all my sections done, I joined them. And what I used for the railroad tracks is the ironing board fabric, aluminized coated fabric, a little bit shiny, and I thought it was perfect for the rail tops. This is a detail shot of the front, and there's my shiny fabric, and this is a full size shot of the back, where you can see where I traced everything onto the interfacing. And the last step was to add the look sign in the middle of my quilt. And in real life, it's located near the crossing, but not in it. But I love the color, and I thought it added a bit of interest, so I added it to my art quilt using artistic license. So there are my 3 pieces again. I hope you enjoyed hearing about how I made them. And if you want to see more of my work and how I construct my pieces and what inspires me, my blog is Terry Aske Art Quilts, and Instagram, I'm at Terry Aske Art Quilts. And I hope you enjoyed seeing my work and hearing about how I constructed it.